What can you do to empower beliefs that bring you towards the direction you want to go, compared to bringing in things that empower beliefs that keep you small?
Welcome to the Dean Graziosi Show. All success starts right here.
Beliefs, what creates them and what affects them? And I wanted to give maybe some thoughts that you've never looked through on what creates your belief or what they can affect. If you read my book, you know that I say the outside influences will affect your beliefs more than you realize. No matter how strong you are, sometimes we have to protect ourselves from the outside world. If you have a drinking problem, it's probably not a good thing to spend 7 nights a week in a bar, right? If beliefs are a hard thing to keep strong, what can we do from the outside world, right? We got the inner game and we got the outer game, right? We're working all the time on our inner game, isn't it? Sometimes it's a pain in the ass. You're just working on it. And then one thing from the outside world throws us off a cliff. Like, it's crazy. But what can you do to empower beliefs that bring you towards the direction you want to go, compared to bringing in things that empower beliefs that keep you small? So I always talk about the news. For me, I physically can't watch the news. I've been on a news diet for over 10 years now because I've never watched the news and got done and went, holy shit, I feel amazing. God, I feel good. Give my dad a call. Dad, you got to see the 7 o'clock news. You'll feel amazing. If you missed it at 5, you should see it at 7. No, because here's what I know. When's the last time you watched the news and you wanted to run out and really go after it and get life going? Or do you go, wow, things are really screwed up? I mean, think about what's on the news right now. I mean, I was in the gym yesterday. The only time I get glimpses of news without audio is when I'm at the gym and there's like 5 screens on. And then the funny part is it's like watching CNBC or CNN and Fox. It's like, are they both in the same country? Right? It's like, and so literally just seeing the subtitles is enough to screw me up. But think about that in all areas of your life. What in your life fuels a belief of doubt? And what in your life fuels a belief of hope and passion and drive? And I'm not going to go through all of them, but you need to identify them. Who in here, you don't have to raise your hand because maybe you brought them with you. You know what I mean? Just saying. All right, who in here will self-admit that your spouse or a friend brought you here kicking and screaming, like drug you here? There's a go. Who's afraid to admit it, but it's true, right? It's like, I'm going to go there. And then, believe me, we'll convert you before you leave. You have no idea. You'll be reading my book tonight before you go to bed. But what affects you like news? If you watch the news or read the paper cover to cover and it alters your beliefs just a fraction, just a millimeter in a direction. Mary, you starting trouble up here? It's good to have you here. If something alters you just a fraction, then it's putting you on a different course. So I would think about it. If you watch the news or read the paper cover to cover and you feel a little bit self-doubt, if you have a little bit of belief that like maybe now's not the time, then should you do more of that or less of that? Right? If you have a friend who you love dearly, sometimes we have friends for 20 years. Every time you're with them, it's like they have a battery charger and they plug it into you and they suck all the energy out of you. And when you're done, you're like, oh shit, maybe I should just go get a job and jump off a cliff. Like, we all have those friends. I mean, who has the friend that when your phone rings or you get a text, you go, oh shit. Should I get that now? And then the worst part is, like, sometimes you don't even want to wait for it to ring to go to voicemail, so you hit the end button, and they know it. And they're like, and they call back 3 more times, and then they text you, I know you sent me to voicemail. And I don't take voicemail, so that's really even terrible. But what affects you in that way? So I want you to start thinking, like, if we have to create beliefs that make us bulletproof, listen, I shared this yesterday. We have one life here. Are we going to play this life full out? Are we going to go to our deathbed thinking we could have done more? Screw that. This is the time to go for it now. There's no better time than now. When we're going to start someday, that someday will never come, right? So we have to protect ourselves. So are we going to fill ourselves with the empowerment to drive the beliefs that we want or the beliefs that we don't? So if it's the news, if it's a negative person, if it's a certain activity you do that makes you feel bad about yourself, if there's something I said yesterday about working on your weaknesses, if there's something you feel like you have to do, but every time you do it, it makes you feel inferior or it robs your confidence, you have to find a way to get rid of that crap, because our beliefs are the only thing that drive us here. Listen, we also have old programming. I talked yesterday about Ryan, the kid that works for me. He's 17, just turned 18 years old. His girlfriend's parents, every time they go there, are telling him, because he barely got out of high school. He did, he graduated online, and he's deciding on a different path. I'm not knocking college in any way. What would we do without college and doctors and professors and all the things that are amazing? But it's not his path. But he goes, and because his girlfriend's parents, they're really tough on him. He feels like a loser when he's over there. But when he's there, they want him to go to school to be an engineer. They want him to go to school and have his degree, because that's how they were programmed. What he found out last week is he's currently making $18,000 a year more than both his parents combined, his girlfriend's parents combined. And better yet, he's happy every single day. The guy is lit up so much in our office, we have to calm him down because he's excited about everything. It's like, we got, you get new cups. He's like, did we get new cups in the office? These cups are amazing. It's like, all right. But here's the conversation we had. Because of old programming, the conversation we had was, my girlfriend's parents want me to go to school that makes me miserable. School's not for me. I could never do it. He had some similar, the reason I have a liking to him, because he has similar issues I had when I was in school. He's like, go to school for 4 years, which I hate, and then get in a job that I dislike to make less money than I'm making right now. But if I did that, they'd put their arm around me and say, congratulations. It's so counterintuitive, but we have old programming. I mean, listen, what I never understood is, when you were in high school or college or just starting out life, you have these dreams, you have the aspirations, you have these big goals in some cases, right? And the world tells us that we're dreaming. I mean, think about when we want to step out from the line everybody else is having and go after our own shit and do our own thing, and people saying, hey, get real. When you get a Lola, you'll see that that's not. And all of a sudden, you start squashing your dreams. You start playing smaller in your own life to make people around you feel better. And here's the thing, you quit your dream, you quit your desire, and you take some job that makes somebody else happy, and all of a sudden, you get somebody's arm around you saying, hey, now you're finally growing up. Really? It's so, listen, I'm not saying this to make anybody sad, because you're in this room now, but how many people in their 20s and 30s took a 5-minute job to make other people happy or just pay the bills until you could get to your goals, and then 30, 40 years went by?
Trivet?
Now, I don't say that to make you, but here's the thing. But you're in this room now. You're not accepting that anymore. You're not playing small anymore. You're going for that next level. So we can't do anything about our past, but we surely could start today on a new future. So I would say is watch the old programming, because some of it is, listen, my dad's here today, which is awesome to have family here. So everybody, give it up for my dad. My dad's 83 and looks 55. I got some good genes going on. Exactly. But watch the old programming, because I said that about my dad. My dad was born during the Depression. So my dad, shared with you yesterday, everything my dad did when we were young is, if you could do it yourself, why pay somebody? And every room you walk out of, if you didn't turn the light off, it was like death. Like we were going to die if we didn't turn the lights off. But he had to. That's how he got by. Now I go around the room and just turn on the house and just turn every light on possible. I can afford that shit. No. But I say that because that's old programming. So I want to encourage you today to watch the old programming that's going to screw with your beliefs. Because you might believe I can go do more real estate. I could do my first deal. I could be a wholesale monster. While simultaneously, you might have a belief that's residual from your parents that say, you better get a job, go to school, and work for somebody else, because if you start your own business, you'll go bankrupt, right? So simultaneously, you're like, man, I want this, but why the hell am I feeling hesitant? Why am I holding back? It's because of a belief that's in there. It's not because of anything in the outside world. I mean, go think about it. Think about what stopped you from reaching your next level over the last year. And if I said, hey, run up to your room and grab it, could you go get it? It's a belief. Where does it live? It lives in here. It lives in our hearts. So we have to acknowledge that. We have to be aware of it, and we have to feed the beliefs that fuel our desires. Now, I shared this, and Trent was talking about it yesterday, but I can't not say it again, is we have to watch the advice we get. Do you know what the most costly advice in the world is? Is bad advice. And usually, the worst advice in the world is very free. It comes to us really easy, right? But I said yesterday, but it's your broke friend telling you how to make money, or your single friend telling you how to fix your relationship. But somehow we let them affect you. So I just want to share with you to be a constant observer of what you allow into your life and into your heart. I did a little Instagram video on this, and it went crazy. I said, who is steering your ship? And if you think about that, I like little metaphors that allow me to have hacks to get back to my core, right? So for me, I use that little saying, who's steering my ship? If I get somebody who's telling me advice, or I'm listening to somebody, or somebody say, oh, let me tell you how you should do this in your business, I immediately think, do I want this person steering my ship? And what I do, I know this is terrible, but I immediately think to myself, if I woke up tomorrow morning and I was that person, would I be happy? And in most cases, I'm like, hell no. It's the person telling you how to fix things and do things. And I'm like, would I be you tomorrow? If I woke up and I was you, would I be happy? And 100 out of 100 times, the answer is no. You just want to be the best version of you. So I say that because we will let advice tweak our beliefs just enough. We don't need to tweak completely. If we're off a tiny bit, we go back to the belief that it won't work rather than the belief that will. So just watch the advice. So I say is, some of you, let's just be honest, some of you have someone that you might live with that tries to give you advice all the time that doesn't feel congruent to what you want. I mean, you can't raise your hand if they're with you, but I'm just saying. So find a way to appreciate where that person is coming from, but to be Teflon so it falls off. So, because so many people say to me, my husband has never supported me ever. I don't know what to do. It's like, well, if he never has, and you're trying to definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Most likely, that's the way he's going to be, and maybe he'll flip. But instead of worrying about it so much, just don't let it affect you. Go kick ass, and he'll become a believer. Just make him a believer. Don't tell him to become a believer. Now, here's another one. Could someone grab me a bottle of water, please? This might seem counterintuitive, but I want to, and it might not seem like it falls under beliefs, but I believe it. I think it is love what you're currently doing, even if you know it's temporary and you don't like it. Does that make sense? Love what you're currently doing, even if you know it's temporary and you don't like it. Did you ever run into, listen, there's a lot of people have to do certain things to pay the bills until the big thing comes along. But the thing they're in, they're like, I hate this. I hate going to work. I hate the alarm. I hate driving this. I hate that boss. Man, I can't wait to do my own thing. Here's the problem. That won't ever work because you're putting so much negativity into the world. It's reciprocity to the world. That might be your success tax. Think about that. Is everybody become successful? No, only the ones who go after it, who play full out. I feel like there's a universal code of success tax, and we all have to pay it. So if someone's watching up there with a little binder and say, I'm going to put him through 5 years of shit, can he handle this? And you're a year in and you just complain and you're miserable and you don't, I don't think you get the success pass. I think you have to pay tax on it. And maybe that job you're in, or the business that's not paying, or the business that's not performing right now, maybe that's just your tax. Maybe that's your lesson. That's your gift to find what doesn't work in your life, to find the grit to power through. So here's what I know is, what if you just decided today that you are gonna, whatever it is you're currently doing, you're gonna find it to be fun. You're gonna do it to the best of your ability, because it's only temporary. It's only part of your journey. It was designed for you so you could know where you really wanna go. I'll give you an example. My dad and I, when I was 17, or 15, I started working in the collision shop, but at 15 and then 17, and in my early 20s, I painted cars every day. I got my hands every night I was scrubbing with the borax soap and trying to get the grease from underneath my nails. I had headaches almost every day because I was the only painter in our collision shop, and we didn't have great ventilation, and it always made me sick. I'd go home and want to throw up at night. I hated fixing cars. I did, but no one in the world would have ever known. No one would have ever known. I went to work every day with enthusiasm. And listen, I'd love to say that I read some fancy book and I just got lucky. I just knew I wanted out of there, and I figured the best way out of here is I might as well enjoy it. So if someone came down, you'd think, man, this guy loves fixing. And I kind of liked fixing cars. I just didn't like the headaches and the dirty, and I wanted more out of life. But I did it in a way where every customer that came in meant something to me, and I bonded with each customer and had a relationship with them. And I want to tell you something. This is just a great example. Is one of my first real estate deals, the first deal that I made $1 million on in my 20s. I made $1 million from this, my dad's here. My dad and I lived in a bathroom for a year straight with a little electric heater. Some days I'd go to school with lunch with a pile of pennies, and that's the only way we could come up with $1 for lunch. We had some tough times. And then transform that to make $1 million on one deal in my 20s. You know what that transformation was? I went from living in a 300 square foot apartment to I built the biggest house in our town. Literally the biggest house, the most expensive house in our town. And there was no middle of the road. I went from the 300 square foot apartment to that house. It was pretty awesome. But here's what I want to share with you. That deal I made $1 million on, the guy that lent me the money to buy that, he was a customer of ours. And he would come down and I'd fix his car, and he'd be like, God, you're so full of energy. You're so full of life. What do you do? I said, well, I'm doing the cars, and my dad, I love it, but I'm also doing real estate. And he's like, tell me about it. I'm like, and by then I had done a couple of deals using credit cards and buying and no money down deals. I probably did 5 or 6 deals by then. And the more we talked, the more he liked my enthusiasm. He came back, he said, how much you need? I said, it's 180 grand, but I need 90 for the down payment. I'm almost there. He came down with a literal garbage bag, a grocery bag with $90,000 in cash in it. I'm not going to say what he did for a living. But that $90,000 was I live in upstate New York, and there's too many Italians in one town. What can I say? But he lent me that money. I did that deal. This was a cool deal. I don't want to digress, but it was the coolest deal ever. Is I bought a piece of property that no one every neighbor was pissed off, and no one would buy this property because everybody who tried to subdivide it, the neighbors would shut it down because they just didn't like it. You only need a couple loud people at a small town board meeting, a planning board meeting, to shut down a deal. So I bought this piece of property that all the neighbors hated me immediately. It was like I stabbed their children. They hated me. I was an evil developer. And then one day I was arguing with one of them. He was arguing with me. I was trying to talk with him, and he said something. I'm like, whoa, you're just upset because you want a piece of it for yourself? And he said, yeah, I want to extend my backyard, and I can't afford to spend $300,000 or 180 grand for this property. I'm like, well, I'll just sell you a piece. And he smiled. He goes, you would? I went to every neighbor. I'm digressing here. I went to every neighbor. I paid $180,000 for that property. I went to every neighbor and sold them a piece of it. I brought back 220 grand before I did anything with the property. And all the neighbors loved me. I'd pass them like, hi, Dean. I'm like, hey. And then I sold the centerpiece that was left for $780,000. But I digress, because if I didn't treat that job that I was currently doing, that I hated sucking in fumes and painting cars, if I didn't treat that with enthusiasm, if I walked in and really showed and been like, yeah, I'll fix your damn car. Yeah, give me your keys. Yeah, it's painted, it's clean, we washed it. Get your ass out of here. Do you think he would have ever talked to me or lent me that money? So I want to tell you that when it comes to beliefs, all these little things affect it. Just know whatever you're currently doing right now is just temporary. You're in this room. You're a badass. You're going other places. That's just a stop along the way. So why not find a way to create enthusiasm around it? Do it better than anyone else. Go Monday, instead of walking in, hey, everybody, walk in and be like, hey, what's up? Freak everybody out. Make them all weird. If you have a quota to get, 100,000 in sales a month, do 200,000. Just kick ass. Listen, it's only a process. It's only a stepping stone, because here's what I know. Whatever you do small is however you're going to do anything big. When I see people say, I just hate this, I'm just going to get by till this comes along. What's going to come along? You're going to trip over $1 million on a sidewalk or hit lotto? No, we have a little work to do. Can we agree that we have a little work to do if we want to go to the level of, are you guys afraid of work? Okay, that's why you're here. So find a way to be enthusiastic and kick ass in whatever you're doing, knowing it's just temporary. I fixed cars, then I got into real estate. Now there was a long time that I would work on cars. There was a time when I created my first course, Motor Millions, to teach people, and some of you in this room bought that course, which is crazy. It was 18 years ago. I taught people how to make money with cars like I did. I used to get up at 5 and work on my Motor Millions course. I had no idea how to create one, so I'd work on that till about 7:30. Then I'd go to the collision shop and work with my dad till 5. I'd go home and eat, and then I'd work on my houses till midnight. I did that for years, and I look back and it was some of the most fun times of my life because I felt the accomplishment. Does that make sense? You guys ever work really hard, but you love every bit of it? So that's find a way to love what you do. One more thing that I think can really mess with your beliefs more than you realize is having a plan B. Now, plan B is a strategy I've used for years when it comes to real estate. I'd offer somebody money on a house, and I'd say, hey, I could pay you $100,000 for that house. I'm like, no way. I can get 150 grand. That's kind of an insult. I'd never take that. That's a ridiculous offer. I'm like, oh no, I totally get it. And what do you think you could get? I'm going to get 150. I'd be like, that's fantastic. I think you should. I think you should get 100. And if you could get 150, great. I have a couple friends that are in retail. Maybe you can. So you have a plan A for that? And like, well, not really, but I think I can get 150. I'll be like, listen, here's what you should do. You should work your tail off on your plan A to get your 150. Don't be insulted by me. I just want to be your plan B. If it doesn't work out and you don't get your 150, just remember, Dean is plan B at 100 grand in cash. I use that forever, and literally 30, 45 days later, it's like, plan B? And then it's 90 grand, but that's, I'm nice, but I know how to negotiate. But plan B works in a lot of ways. You should have a plan B for maybe your retirement. But I want to talk about leaning on your plan B that can mess with your beliefs in the direction you want to go. You see, what happens sometimes is you guys want this next level, right? You want to start real estate, get your wholesale business done, buy and hold, fix and flip, or if you're doing 5 deals a month, you want to go to 10. Like, we have this next level that we aspire to, right? But what happens is some of us get so comfortable with plan B, even though we don't love it, that we go and we dabble, and then when we get a little road bump, we run back to plan B. And then we try a little bit more, and we're like, oh, man, I don't think there's too many wholesalers in my area, and the marketing's not working anymore. Let me run back to what's comfortable. I want to encourage you to say, screw plan B, burn the boats, and make plan A your only damn option. Can we say, yep? Now, again, please don't go quit your job tomorrow and blame me. But craft a master plan A and start fading out. But maybe don't burn the boats tomorrow, but maybe start burning one at a time. Because if you have this way if you settle back into this, it's such an easy path to go back to what you know. But if what you know was serving you, either your greatest self, your next level, serving God, the universe, serving your family the way you want, then you wouldn't be in this room. You'd be doing that thing and or maybe something more fun than being in an event.
I hope you enjoyed seeing behind the curtain of one of our Inner Circle trainings, where each month we teach next level mindset, marketing, and momentum, the 3 M's that I believe are the difference between wanting more and actually achieving more. If you'd like to be a part of our Inner Circle, we created a really special opportunity in these unprecedented times. Well, they're unprecedented times, so we created an unprecedented opportunity. And right now, you can go to deansnextlevel.com. That's deansnextlevel.com. Watch a quick video and see how you could be part of the Inner Circle for less than about a movie and dinner a month and gain those next level capabilities to thrive in these uncertain times.
What's up? What's up? Hey, before you go, you need to watch these next few videos. They're absolute game changers. Hurry up and click right over here and watch them, and I'll see you there.